Hello, this is an unprofessional boxing of the manufactured prototype, actually production copy of the Stygian Society, which came via FedEx from China at the printer today. So we're going to open it up here live in front of you and see what we see. If this ends up being okay, then we will be able to finalize production, and it should be, I think, just a few more weeks after this before they're ready to send out 2 fulfillment centers. I've already made a list of all of your orders and to which fulfillment center they go to, and as soon as they get off of the printing press, they will get put onto pallets, and from there pallets to the appropriate places. We've got distribution centers in Australia, Germany, Canada, and the US. Barely. Okay, so you can see here, I think you can see the games. So we've got, looks like we've got 2 copies of the base game here. And over here we've got one of each of the expansions. I don't know if this might be too close. I'll put this big box out of the way here and then drag over the individual games. So here are the expansions. Well, this is happening in our house, so if you hear the dog barking, we're all staying home during the pandemic. So if you hear the dogs barking in the background, I apologize. So anyway, I'm doing the expansions first, it looks like, but here is the Cursed Library expansion in the shrink. Looks very nice. I'm very happy with the way that turned out. The back. The Tower Laboratory expansion by Philip Dewberry. The Cursed Library expansions by Scott Alms, who did the Tiny Epic games, and this is by Philip Dewberry, who's done other games for us, Spirits of the Rice Paddy and Rice Dice, and Scott Alms actually did the Great Dinosaur Rush. You can see they're the same, both boxes are the same form factor, of course, and they should sit pretty nicely next to each other on the shelf. So that's those. I will open them up in just a second. I want to get the other stuff out of the box. Oh, here is the here are the cards for the hero cards. So it's got the hero mat as well as the hero action cards, skill cards. So we got 2 copies that they sent us of the base game, a Kickstarter copy and a retail copy, it appears. Here is the Kickstarter copy with the sleeve that all of you will be getting. Let me get the shrink wrap out of the way. Here's the Stygian Society Kickstarter edition with the sleeve, as I mentioned. The sleeve is going to be the same on both sides, like so. And here's the retail edition, no sleeve. We'll open up one or both of these during this video. Look how thick that is. The thickness of the box supports the tower intact, so that once you build it the first time, you will be able to put the tower into the box and never have to reassemble it. Very nice. I like it. Okay, so let's open up the base game, the Kickstarter edition, and see what we can see. removing the shrink. Here's the sleeve. And once you get the sleeve off, the box looks just like the retail version of the box. Rules on top, good. Rules are 12 pages long and very nicely illustrated. So you should have no trouble learning how to play the game. In fact, of those 12 pages, the first 5 pages themselves are simply the components. And then 2 pages of setup. And then the actual real rules are just 3 or 4 pages long. Okay? Here are instructions for how to build the tower. A single page instructions. It's not hard. In fact, I think what I'll do is, not as part of this video, but as a follow-on, I'll do another video showing me putting the tower together and then assembling it all and putting it into the field board. Here is the field board, the next piece. You can see it's got the 4 slots that the tower is going to fit into, and then the 4 holes here that the crypt will fit in. The board, this is the what is it? The actions board. It's got the generic actions in it. It's got your chest cards and treasure cards, as well as tracking for the various stats in the game. Your luck, experience, wounds, and party peril. You'll see that it's got a starting value for luck, which goes up. It's also got a starting value for experience, which is 0. But then once you get to 8, there'll be two counters, as you'll see. I'll show you the counters in a bit once we get down there. But once you hit 8, then you reset and you gain a level, and then the experience counter goes up to 9. And the wounds, if you start at 0 wounds, but if you ever hit 25 or whatever the current max health is, then the party loses the game. And similarly, if peril ever gets from 0 to 20, the party loses. Okay, very nice board. So far, so good. All right, here is the tower. Most of the punch boards in the game, there's 2 punch boards. The tower itself is the punch board, and then the status tokens. Once your party acquires statuses, they're going to take these tokens. And these will be face down by default, like this, and so you'll just draw them and add them to your tableau. Oops. Like I said, I'm going to leave this I'm not going to punch this as part of this video. I'll do that as part of another video, show you how to assemble it. Okay, Elaine Cunningham, many of you know who she is an excellent writer, has done stories for each of for the main game and each of the expansions, as you'll see when I open the expansions up. She's written short stories to help set the mood for the game. Very nice. The hero mats, here are 2 of them. The hero mats are 2-sided, so you can play male or female for either hero, and as your choice. There's 2 knights, 2 burglars, and the other 2 are the doctor and the spell sling. Some of you, a few lucky ones of you, have paid to have your likenesses added to the heroes, and so the spell sling and the burglar were done using art provided to us by those backers. So that's kind of cool. And these are in every version of the game, so the retail version will get these as well as the Kickstarter version. Okay. These are nice, as you can see too, these are nice, heavy, thick card stock. Lots of plastic bags for the tokens, etc. Cards. I'm not criticized, but people sometimes joke at how many extra plastic bags Ape Games puts into our boxes. All right, I don't know why there's two of these in here, but there are. Okay, that's fine. You only need one set, and when I put together the tower, you'll see why these are necessary. They're going to go onto the plastic tower the plastic tower tabs that stick out of the side of the tower and indicate what floor the heroes are on. Okay, let's go down to here are the tokens. They're nice acrylic tokens in white, blue, green for the hero colors, and yellow, red, and black for the enemy colors. Okay. Your wooden tokens. The hearts are for health, and the other tokens, as I mentioned, go on to the status board. And the shapes match there's little and large health tokens here for 1 and I think it's 3. The little ones represent 1 health and the big hearts represent 3 health. And then these are the tokens that go onto the status board that we just talked about. All right, the plastic bits. There should be 3 tower connectors. Now, when I put together the tower, you'll see there's 2 pieces that have tabs on them, like this, and they'll go, and the stickers that I just showed you will get placed onto the connector here. The bottom has the tabs that fit into the field board, and it does not have a tab out the side. The actual first level for the adventures is actually on the field board itself. Okay. Next is the crypt, and which is the crypt? 1, 2, 3, 4. Here are the crypt posts and the crypt fence, and these will fit together like so. And as part of the video where I put together the tower, I'll also put together this. So you can see that they fit in here tightly, and then once it's together, that shouldn't come apart either. So the fence fits together that way, and then the hole on the bottom gets put into the board so it doesn't move during gameplay. And finally, the last plastic piece is the hero himself. Very nicely sculpted by Chad Hoverder. Is that close enough? Okay. And finally, not finally, I should say, next are the card decks. There's all sorts of different cards in the game. I'm not going to undo all of these different packs, but you can see that there's skill cards. There are treasure cards. The skill cards are two-sided, just like the hero mats. So you've got the female knight on the reverse of the male knight skill. And here is the Kickstarter pack. It's got and like again, I'm not going to pull it all apart here, but you've got the minor boss, and then this is the major boss, the extra hero, the extra hero cards, as well as the woes and lamentation cards. The room cards, there are upper and lower level rooms. The lower level rooms are the light blue, and the upper level rooms are the purple. They're the same except for the difficulty. So the lower level rooms are going to be a little easier to, and you need to be prepared and level up before you get to the upper level rooms. Of course, the third level is where you're going to encounter the minor boss. So you use the lower level rooms for levels 1, 2, and the mid boss is at level 3. Then you use a selection of these rooms for levels 4 and 5, and then the major boss the wizard is at level 6. So you can see, given the number of rooms that there are, that there's a lot of replayability here. You're only going to see 2 of these cards each game. Okay? Okay, so again, like the rooms, like the room levels, the bosses themselves are minor, major. The mini boss at level 3 are the blue, and the wizard bosses at level 6 are the purple. There's 4 different ones. You're only going to encounter one of these each game. So again, a lot of replayability. Okay, when you defeat the major wizard at the top, there's nothing on the back. You win the game when you defeat him, so there's no reason to flip the card over. But the minor boss cards, the level 3 boss, when you defeat it, you flip it over, and there will be a text that describes what happens. And this text is going to affect the rest of the game. So levels 4, 5, and 6 are going to be affected by the boss once you defeat him. More cards. And then the box itself is, the tower is going to fit in here, and it's pretty solid. This isn't going anywhere. It should slide right in there, is the idea, and not slide around once it's assembled. Pull it out using the thumb holes, and then put it into the field board and put it back when you're finished. That's the idea. Oh, one piece I forgot. More plastic pieces are the enemies. The enemies go on the room cards. There's yellow, red, and black enemies. And so what you do is the enemies here are red, yellow, and black as well. And you will put the enemies onto the card, and they're going to move around as the battle commences. They're going to move from the rear rank up to the front rank. Some skills can affect only the front rank, some only the rear rank. And so you'll want to manipulate the enemies such that they're in this place that's easier for you to defeat them. Okay. That's it for the base game. Let's take a look at the expansions. Oh, here is the Dark is the Night game. One of our games from a couple of years ago, Dark is the Night, had a hunter figure. So if you've got that game, we gave you the chance to play as that hero in this game as well. So we added a hero and more skill cards for the hunter from Dark is the Night. And I think you can still order that on our site if you missed it. Okay, so the Tower Laboratory. Looks like there's some moisture on this table. Again, another short story from Elaine Cunningham. Rule sheet, very simple. Actually, there's just a couple of paragraphs for flavor text because the gameplay is the same. There's nothing that that you really need to know different, except that new cubes are introduced. There's purple cubes, which are electricity. So some of the heroes and enemies in the game can use this other new color of cube. The hero is the mechanic. We've got 4 new heroes. Mechanic, Chemist, Spark, and Psychic. Now, this game, the Tower Laboratory, takes place later. The Stygian Society is an organization that transcends time. It's been going for hundreds of years, and it is actually pan-global. There's parts of it in Europe, and now this takes place in the United States in the early 1900s, which is why you've got these more modern-looking characters. Okay. More cards. I didn't point them out last time, but they were actually in the decks from the base game, but each type of enemy has its own card as well, so that when you put the generic enemy figure onto the room, you actually need to pull out the card as well and put it alongside the board so that you can tell what the effects are for that particular enemy. And then more skills for the different character types. Are the games interchangeable? We have played with the expansion as part of the base game. So yes, I would say it is. Room cards, more rooms. Upper and lower levels as before. So far I'm not seeing any issues with the components, so this is awesome. And new minor, mid-boss, and major bosses. Okay? That's the Tower Laboratory. Okay. Finally, we have the Cursed Library. This is a heavy one. There's a lot of stuff in here, and it's a little bit different of a game than the base game in the Tower Laboratory. This is not interchangeable with the base game, as you'll see in a second. Well, you need to play with the base game. What I'm saying is you don't want to play with the heroes from this game as part of the base game. You want to play a Cursed Library as a Cursed Library game. Another Elaine Cunningham story. Very nice. Rules booklet, because like I said, the rules to play this game are different. 4 heroes. And the heroes in this game are authors from classic literature. We've got Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, H.G. Wells, Jane Austen, and Mary Shelley. So the deal is that a library, which is the tower, has become cursed, and characters, villains from classic literature, are taking over the library. And so it's up to the Stygian Society has summoned these authors to go into the library and defeat these villains that they've created. The hero figure in this case is Mary Shelley. The figure is used in the Stygian Society to climb up the outside of the tower. It represents what level the heroes are on. What's this? Oh, ink. Big ink and little ink. So instead of using health, you use ink in this game to represent party health. Essentially the same, but these are wooden pieces. Essentially the same as health, though. Except, as you'll see in a second, some of you're going to not only have health or ink for yourself, but also for characters that are fighting on your side with you. So I'm going to hold. So you've got your 4 characters. You've got your character cards. The status cards are different negative effects that can affect you throughout the game, and you need to get rid of these by spending cubes of your color at the end of your turn. So when you get an effect, a status, you take the status card, and you're going to also take some of those tokens that I showed you from the punch board at the beginning of the game to get rid of that. So on your next turn, whatever that status was is going to affect you throughout your next turn, and you can't get rid of it until the end of your turn, by which you can spend cubes from the board to get rid of the status tokens. When there are no status tokens on the card, you can get rid of the card itself. I'll hold off on this for just a second. We've got the rooms, plenty of rooms, just like the base game. You'll notice that instead of monsters, we've got the villains. So we've got the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz, Captain Hook from Peter Pan, and so forth. Upper level, lower level rooms, just like the normal game. Hound of the Baskervilles, Headless Horseman. And the mid-boss and major boss, just like the base game. So mini-boss, we've got the Martians, the Invisible Man, the Red Death from the Mask of the Red Death, and the Phantom of the Opera. And the major bosses are Dracula, Dr. Frankenstein, Professor Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes, and Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. You'll also notice that these have different symbols on them here. Different heroes are going to have skills that allow them to get advantages over monsters of different types, different genres. So we've got mystery, which is the magnifying glass, horror, which are the fangs, literature, which are the books, and finally science fiction, which is the saucer. Now here's the different thing in the game, and unfortunately, well, I guess these are, yeah, so the enemy here, in this case, is a Morlock. So when you, from the Time Machine, when you defeat the Morlock, you can flip the card over and it's going to have a hero card from the Time Machine that you can use to, you can adopt it to fight on your side. And when it becomes your turn, and so here's an example, the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz there'll be probably the flying monkeys on the reverse of this card. And once you defeat the flying monkeys, this card flips over as a hero, and then you can recruit the Tin Man to fight for you. The mechanic works as you will either, before you drop the dice into the tower, the cubes into the tower, you will say whether you're going to take the action or the Tin Man is going to take his action. You need to always specify the action beforehand. Any wounds that the enemies are going to inflict will go on to the character if he's taking the action. Once the character is gone, he's out of the game. So I think that's it. That's all we have to talk about right now as part of the unboxing. I'm very encouraged by what I've seen, and I think if I don't find any major glaring errors in the rules, and if the tower fits together nicely and and everything drops okay through it, then we should be ready to go. Thanks.